The voice acting in Silent Hill never reaches Resident Evil 1 levels of bad, not even close. In fact, it's pretty decent most of the time. But the characters do talk quite strangely, and the awkward pauses whenever the game has to load the next line of dialogue makes every scene feel a bit sluggish. All the animations, though, were motion captured with live actors, and so that does lend a more grounded feeling than the sometimes nonsensical flailing and head bobs you'd see in Resident Evil. And that mocap was also used for the game's CG FMVs, which frankly are pretty exceptional for a PS1 game, especially after you learn that they were all reportedly animated and rendered by just one person. Believe it or not, the game's lead CG artist, Takayoshi Sato, had to fight to even get his name in the credits at all. Sato was at first assigned a team of animators to supervise, but when he learned that he would not be credited for his work, he refused to accept any help, creating all the character models and animating every FMV by himself over a span of 2.5 years, rendering them on over 150 Unix PCs during the office's after hours. Reportedly, 1 second of CG footage took 4 hours to render, adding up to over 2,000 hours when all was said and done. Sato wasn't the only one pouring hours of hard work into Silent Hill. I of course have to bring up the work of Akira Yamaoka, the game's music composer and sound designer. Yamaoka took over as lead composer after the game's original musician left the project, and he would go on to become the de facto musician for almost the entirety of the franchise. His compositions would form arguably the single most iconic part of Silent Hill's legacy. His music draws from techno, but with a distinctly industrial edge that often blurs the line between instrument and machinery. Sometimes literally, as heard in the game's final boss music, where the sound of a dentist's drill was distorted to form a constant unsettling screech. As a matter of fact, Yamaoka was also responsible for creating all of the game's sound effects as well. There's even unique end credits themes for each of the game's 5 endings, including a vocal theme written by Rika Muranaka, the same composer who wrote Metal Gear Solid's iconic ending theme. So unorthodox were some of these compositions that when Yamaoka presented his work to the rest of the team, they thought the files had been corrupted. The others were hesitant to use such strange music in the final game, and so Yamaoka had to convince them why this style of music was the right choice. Much like the game's setting, the music almost becomes a character in and of itself, creating panic and tension during the game's nightmare sequences, but also softer yet unnerving pieces during cutscenes. And perhaps more importantly, thanks to Yamaoka's smart sound direction, the music is used sparingly. A surprising amount of the game goes completely without music at all, meaning that when it does show up, it has all the more impact.